Good morning. Welcome to a fresh edition of your program, Inside Nigeria. On Inside Nigeria, we look at front headline stories of some select newspapers, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. We also look at some topical issues trending in the country and even beyond. My name is Winifred Weber, your host on the program. And without wasting much time, as we wasted some few minutes already, we'll head up to the newspaper menu, where we have leadership's most influential Nigeria's most influential leadership newspaper. We'll take off from there. Leadership's leading story says 1 year after Supreme Court judgment, workers threaten strike over lack of financial autonomy in local government areas. 1 year after Supreme Court judgment, workers threaten strike over lack of financial autonomy in local government areas. NULGE accuses governors of withholding funds, seeks Tinubu's intervention. Kicker to that leading story, that is National Union of Local Government Employees accuses governors of withholding funds, seeks Tinubu's intervention. That story continues on page 4 of Leadership. I think we have to take some excerpts from that leading story. From page 4 of the paper, leading story today says, the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE, has raised the alarm over the continued delay in implementing the Supreme Court ruling that granted financial autonomy to local government councils. The Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, a senior advocate of Nigeria SAN, had on behalf of the federal government sued the 36 states over the manner the governors are running the local government funds. In the suit marked SC/CV/343/2024, the AGF also prayed the court for an order prohibiting state governors from unilateral, arbitrarily, and unlawful dissolution of democratically elected local government executives. Leadership reports that state governors' stranglehold on local government funds through the state local government joint account has stifled that tier of government and restricted grassroots development in the country. But exactly 1 year after the Supreme Court delivered its landmark judgment affirming full financial autonomy for the 774 local governments in Nigeria, the ruling remains unimplemented across states, a development NULGE described as a deliberate affront to grassroots development. Excerpts to the leading story on leadership this Monday on the cover of Leadership. 1 year after Supreme Court judgment, workers threaten strike over lack of financial autonomy in local government areas. Still on Leadership newspaper, while Obi El-Rufai have yet to formally join us, ADC is also the leading story on one of the papers I have on my lineup this Monday. Why Obi El-Rufai have yet to formally join us, ADC. The story is on page 7 of Leadership. You can't stop Obi from entering the Edo NBA, tells governor. That story is on page 28 of Leadership. And of course, the trending story since the news broke over the weekend, and some of the papers I have on my lineup is also one of their leading stories. You can't stop Obi from entering Edo NBA, tells governor. This is in response to the directive given by the Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, that warning Obi not to come to Edo State without his approval. And that announcement from the governor has continued to generate controversies. Still on Leadership, Awujale's efforts brought APC merger, made Buhari president, coming from Pastor Tunde Bakare. Islamic cleric leads special prayers for rainfall in Bauchi. Islamic cleric leads special prayers for rainfall in Bauchi. That story is on page 24 of Leadership. Senate says no court directive to reinstate Senator Natasha. That story is like there's no end in sight to that imbroglio. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was given 6 months suspension by the upper house of the National Assembly, that is the Senate, and of course there was a court ruling to that effect. However, in response, the Senate said there was no court directive to reinstate the embattled senator, while the senator insists on resuming. Let's wait and see how the drama unfolds. Burial Buhari's family thanks Tinubu, Shettima, business leaders, others. That story is on page 19 of Leadership. We move towards the masthead of leadership on the business bus. KLM, Lufthansa, Air France still sell tickets to Nigerians in dollars, NATA. KLM, Lufthansa, Air France still sell tickets to Nigerians in dollars, NATA. Who investigate NCAA. Travel agents have raised the alarm that foreign airlines are continuing to sell flight tickets to outbound passengers in US dollars. Leadership reports that the administration of ex-President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2022 kicked against foreign airlines selling tickets in Nigeria in foreign currencies. Former Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika had said selling tickets in foreign currency was a violation of the nation's local laws. Leading story on the business buzz on leadership this Monday. KLM, Lufthansa, Air France still sell tickets to Nigerians in dollars, NANTA. That takes us to the story. It's actually an advertorial, but a news advertorial. First Holdco PLC condemns that is First Bank Company, condemns all professional reporting by THISDAY and Arise Television, demands fairness, objectivity, and fact-checking in journalism. The story continues on the cover and runs to page 7 of the paper. With that, we move to the page 3 of our stand of leadership, where we have our stand. And today's stand is on final whistle for Coach Sinclair. Final whistle for Coach Sinclair. It says few names in Nigerian football command reverence across generations like that of Monday Sinclair, known affectionately in coaching circles as the professor. Sinclair's first passing at the age of 88 marks not just the end of a long and impactful life, but the quiet exit of one of the finest talent spotters and teachers football in Nigeria has ever known. His death, confirmed last week, could not have come at a sadder time, just days after the passing of his protege and Nigeria's legendary goalkeeper, Peter Rufai. For many within the football fraternity, it feels as though an entire era of dedication, mentorship, and discipline has come to a close. But Sinclair's influence will live on in the memories and careers of the many he groomed, some of whom became national icons. Excerpts on today's stand paying tribute to Coach Monday Sinclair. May he so rest in peace. From our stand, we move over to the back page where we have a Monday column with the Kuku Pity side. Today's column is asking what is going on with education in Nigeria. What is going on with education in Nigeria? Monday column with the Kuku Pity side. And in quote, until now, education plan in Nigeria was akin to weather forecasting without satellites. That's quote from that Monday column. Before we leave the back page, let's quickly go to Ghana Must Go. On the news, Ganduje explains absence during Tinubu's Kano visit. And of course, Ghana Must Go replied, you go explain tire. It's on that note we conclude review of Leadership newspaper this Monday, July 21, 2025. For more, log into the website of Leadership newspaper. From Leadership, we move to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is the Punch. Punch's story today says, race to 2027. PDP's flag bearer battle begins after Atiku's exit. Race to 2027. PDP's flag bearer battle begins after Atiku's exit. Zoning consensus strategy top Thursday's PDP's neck agenda. Makinde, Bala, I ticket. Leading story. These are kickers to the leading story on today's The Punch newspaper. Tinubu says Awujale's blessings paved way for my 2023 victory. Nas Shodan Senate draws battle lines over Natasha's return. Same like the paper before it. Doctors to begin nationwide strike Thursday. Zenith Bank emerges Nigeria's best bank at 2025 Euro Money Awards. That takes us to gradually to the masthead of The Punch. Of course, just like Leadership, we have an advertorial news. THISDAY and Arise TV accused of sensationalism. First Holdco PLC clarifies share trading. Company alleges malicious intent behind media reports. Beside the masthead, Nigerians spent over 83.6 billion naira annually on foreign healthcare under Buhari. That's the story that is coming on page 31 of The Punch this Monday. Nigerians spent over $3.6 billion, Nigeria spent over $3.6 billion annually on foreign healthcare under Buhari. Of course, the story is on page 31 of the paper. Above the masthead, Okpebolo slams Obi as Edo movement ban ignites backlash. That's the story that continues on page 24 of the Punch. And that also brings to a close the review of front headline stories on the Punch this Monday. For more, log into the website of the Punch newspaper. From the Punch, we move to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says why Obi El-Rufai are yet to join ADC, coming from Bolaji Abdullahi. SPDB Governors Forum DG joins ADC. Obedience warned party against selling presidential ticket to highest bidder. Omo Agege has no plan to leave APC, but there's a condition there. Ayiri Emami. No ADC leader can inherit Buhari's 12 million block votes. Okechukwu. Riders to the leading story on Vanguard this Monday, why Obi El-Rufai are yet to join ADC. Defection, Adeleke's negotiation his brick wall, APC source. That story is on page 10 of Vanguard. Defection, Adeleke's negotiation his brick wall. Of course, there has been muted stories that Adeleke, the governor of Osun State, wants to defect to the ruling or Progressives Congress Party, and he has come out to deny it. But however, the rumor persists. According to Vanguard, Adeleke's negotiation his brick wall, coming from APC source. Subsidy removal, turnover profits soar in oil companies. With that, we move to the masthead of Vanguard. 2025 SSSCE disregard report on purported cancellation. Federal government WAEC public. Governors media chiefs for Lateef Jankode's lecture in Lagos, July 23. That is on Wednesday. Late Awujale stood for revalidation of June 12 polls. Tinubu. And of course, the story continues on page 15 of the paper. It's on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on Vanguard this Monday. For more, log into the website of Vanguard newspaper. We head to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune's leading story this Monday says Tinubu Bakare reveal Awujale's role in June 12 formation of APC. The story runs on page 2 of the paper. Withdraw threats, apologize to Obi, Falana tells Edo governor. Okpebolo says security protocols must be followed. The story is on page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. Senator Natasha stay away from National Assembly. Vessels incur losses as debris litter Nigerian waterways. Obi won't be denied right to seek presidential ticket, ADC. Party asks Tinubu to appoint ambassadors. WAEC to release 2025 May-June exam results August 4. NEL fund loans to students hit 77 billion naira in 1 year. And that takes us to the stories above the masthead of Nigerian Tribune. Tough choices for CBN over interest rates. Retired officials protest, ensure peaceful conduct, security IGP tells CPS. Retired officials protest, ensure peaceful conduct, security IGP tells CPS, that is a commissioner of police, who are going on peaceful protest for their emoluments and pensions. And that concludes review of front headline stories on Nigerian Tribune this Monday. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian has a business story as its cover today. MPC court in rate court trade-offs as banks demand CRR review. That story is on page 6 of The Guardian. MPC court in rate court trade-offs as banks demand CRR review. The story continues on page 6 of the paper. Of course, normal with The Guardian, they have illustration beneath that leading story. We have loan rates and credit card rates go up. We have bank savings and deposit rates go up. We have consumer spending goes down. Loan rates and credit card rates go down. Bank savings and deposit rates go down. consumer spending goes up. And we have a weight. What happens if interest rates go up? And what happens if interest rates go down? These are debates between high interest rate and low interest rate. Illustrations beneath that leading story on today's Guardian business story: MPC caught in rate cut trade-offs as banks demand CRR review. EERC revises Band A tariff from 209 naira to 160 naira per kilowatts. That is Enugu distribution, Enugu Energy Council revises Band A tariff from 209 naira to 160 naira per kilowatts. Perhaps we can take some excerpts from that leading story. It's a story that has been trending since yesterday. It says the Enugu State Electricity Regulatory Commission, EERC, has issued a new tariff to Main Power Electricity Distribution Limited, the utility that succeeded Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EEDC, for electricity distribution in the state, reviewing electricity costs for Band A from 209 naira per kilowatts to 160 naira per kilowatts, effective from August 1, 2025. This was contained in the Commission's order number EERC/2025/2003, entitled Tariff Order for Main Power Electricity Distribution Limited 2025, was issued by the Commission over the weekend. He said his decision was cost reflective, insisting that the tariff must reflect the power generation subsidy by the federal government for the benefit of electricity consumers. This story that has been trending since weekend when the news broke. State Power Commissioners reject Senate's move to amend Electricity Act is a story beneath that leading story on Enugu Electricity Commission. Tinubu Bakare Lord Awujale's contribution to APC political success. BSC orders Ford planned protest by ex-officials over pension scheme. That story runs on page 9 of The Guardian. That takes us to a story just beneath the masthead of The Guardian. Edo Benue governors under fire over threats to Obi. NBA proposes changes to Electoral Act once Beavers IREV legalized. Ifa Council to sue Ogun government over Awujale's burial. That concludes the review of front headline stories on The Guardian this Monday. For more, log into the website of The Guardian newspapers. And that takes us to the last paper we have on our lineup, and that is our sister publication, National Economy. National Economy is a weekly business newspaper on the stable of Leadership Nigeria Limited. This week's leading story on this print says Nigeria's 3.2 trillion naira annual outbound medical tourism unacceptable, coming from experts. Nigeria's 3.2 trillion naira annual outbound medical tourism unacceptable, experts. One, capital flight will escalate without bold government reforms. NMA urges urgent enforcement of health workforce retention policy. Say without public-private capital partnership, no path to realistic solution. Still on the cover of National Economy, rethinking tariffs, import duties on vehicles in Nigeria. We move to the stories above the masthead of National Economy. TikTok deletes 3.6 million Nigerian videos in content crackdown. Nigeria investors lose $100 million as 15 funded startups collapse. That story is on page 5 of National Economy. That also concludes the review of front headline stories on National Economy this Monday. For more, log into www.nationaleconomy.com. Well, viewers, it's also on that note we conclude today's Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. Don't forget to join us same time, same station tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. Meanwhile, log into this station for news on the hour. My name is Winifred Ugbebo. Thanks for joining us.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.